I'm Sierra, co-founder of Startup ROI. I have here also on the call our awesome guest, Isabella, and let my other team members introduce themselves as well. Go for it. Cheryl, looks like you're ready. Go for it. You're muted, Cheryl.
Sorry, all that energy going nowhere. I'm Cheryl Parks. I'm excited to be here, and I head up the sales growth and development for Startup. So excited. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Kelly, go for it.
Hey everybody, Kelly O'Hara here from Northern Ireland, the Startup Whisperer. I don't whisper, I shout, but I'm VP of People at Startup ROI. Happy to see you all. Nice to meet you too, Isabella.
Awesome. Paul.
Hi, everyone. So I'm the other co-founder for Startup ROI and serial entrepreneur VC. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's dive in. Isabella has a lot to say. She has a lot to say, so I'm going to let her do most of the talking. So if you guys have questions, before we jump in, if you guys have questions on LinkedIn, we are looking at the chat. So if you drop a comment, we will see it and try and be as responsive as we can. That being said, let's dive in. Isabella, please introduce yourself and tell us about you.
Sure. First of all, I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Isabella Bedoya. A lot of people call me Izzy. I'm the founder of MarketingPros.ai, and I have a digital marketing background where prior to going all in on AI, I was doing a lot of marketing activations for Fortune 500 brands through influencer marketing or just social media marketing in general. So I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to chat a little bit more about AI and how you can implement AI into your marketing. Oh, you're muted.
I do this often. I don't know how I forget. Well, tell us about your story. I know you told me a little bit yesterday, and I reserved myself because I wanted to have an honest reaction, so I didn't ask too many questions, but I am very interested in your story. So, and I think it'll help some others also. So go for it. I know yesterday you gave me the short version. Go ahead and give me the long version. Go for it.
Sure. So I have a very interesting story of how I got into marketing. Basically what happened was I never imagined that I would work in marketing, to be honest. It just kind of happened. What happened is I graduated from college, and when I graduated, my whole vision at the time was like, how can I go and either become a private chef or like manage and run restaurants, right? That was like the goal at the time. And everywhere that I applied in my city, because I had come from a local college town, like a small town, and when I moved back home, it's like a big city, so everywhere that I applied, it was like either too qualified or underqualified. It was this like catch-22. Couldn't find a job anywhere, and of course, like, bills kept coming in. It got to the point where like I really couldn't afford anything. My bank account had overdrafted like negative $300. At the time I was sleeping on my mom's couch because she also had a 2-bedroom apartment. My brother was living in the other room, so yeah, it was kind of tough. And one day I just made dinner for them, and my brother was like, he was getting big into like counting macros and like working out and go to the gym. So when I made pesto sauce, is a little bit of a random story, but I decided to make pesto sauce for him, and instead of olive oil, I used Greek yogurt, and it was a creamy variation of it. Instead of using like dairy or anything, well, it still was dairy, but instead of using like milk or whatever it was just Greek yogurt, and all of a sudden now it had more protein. So he loved it. My mom loved it. They were like, how can you should post about this in a Facebook group, because there's how there's like local communities and neighborhoods. They were like, you should post it in the Facebook group, and I did, and that was my start of social media marketing, because in that moment when I posted it into the Facebook group, I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't even know what social media marketing was. And what happened was I got a bunch of pre-orders. So I couldn't, I didn't have like all these business skills that I have now. So I didn't have payment collection ready. Like I didn't have any of that. I just very old school, took the names down, took the addresses down. Next day I delivered them, because then I made it also easy to get. So I delivered it to them. I remember I asked my mom for like $20 or something to buy the material. The next day it was like I had flipped that into $125. By the end of the week, it had become $2,500. And that was kind of what I learned in that experience, because it wasn't just the sauce. Like what I learned in that experience was people were asking me, do you do caterings? Do you do, meal delivery? Do you do this, that, and everything? I said, yes, yes. I would go home, draft up a menu, send it off. So I really took advantage of every opportunity. And then I just, I started going deeper and deeper into Facebook groups and marketing that way.
That is very inspiring. I think, at least for sure, myself and Paul have that struggle story kind of as an entrepreneur, just, you know, uh, working through it until we can get where we need to be.
Yeah.
But I love how quickly you realize, hey, I'm on to something. This is amazing. Okay, so what was the transition point? Because I'm sure there were a few milestones after that realization. Dive into that.
The transition point happened, so fast forward a few months of doing this consistently, and that's the key, right? Consistency is huge. A few months into that, a family in Beverly Hills, somehow, it was in the group, or a family member of them, then they ended up calling me to become a live-in private chef. So I literally packed my bags and that was like the goal, right? The goal was to end up in California somehow. So that's also, if you're into manifestation, that was also manifestation. So when I moved to California, I had, blank slate. I didn't know anyone. I was living in their house. I was cooking for them. And this is where, like, I went back and I did what I had done in South Florida, which is went back on the Facebook groups, started networking with people. And this is when I first started having like encounters into like mentorships, investing into mentors, investing into consultants and stuff like that. And it took me a little bit of time to mature. I would say, like, mature about that, because when you're starting out, a lot of the times we think like, oh, I can do it all by myself, right? But it was a little bit of actually realizing, no, if I want to get to where I want to get to, I have to invest. I have to look for people that have already been successful. So I started, really just looking for a lot of courses, coaching programs. One thing that I'll make a note here is that when you're making these investments, it's not that it was easy for me either, right? It was still like a challenge. I still had to figure out how to come up with the money to afford a lot of them, but it was something that it became kind of like a core principle, non-negotiable. If I want to get to where I want to get to faster, I got to figure out how to do that. And I think that that's something important to bring up, because a lot of people tend to get a little afraid, or like, they hear a high ticket coaching program and then they get a little scared of like, oh, why would I do that? I can Google it. So I just wanted to bring that up, because it's really important to know that you're investing into speed, you're investing into like not making the mistakes that you're going to make if you go by yourself. And access, right? Access to the networks, to the people.
Wow. I think you I think you hit the nail on the head. Just, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten where I am now if I hadn't invested into coaching programs and things like that. Ultimately, you really just, it's not, you can Google it. Yes, you can Google it. I can Google a lot of things. I mean, Google's my best friend. I Google all day long. But I think ultimately what you want is the experience. Um, I mean, really just being around people who have been where you're trying to go, right? It's their experience that uh, have you guys heard of just people talking about your circle? They say that your circle, if you see your circle, then you know where you're going to be in 5 years, that you can determine based on your circle where you're actually going to be. That is very difficult to break away from. Your circle, they're going to be your childhood friends. They're going to be, people that you went to school with. Everyone has different paths, but as entrepreneurs, we tend to be, I know unicorn is a big buzzword, but we tend to be unicorns in our sphere and wherever it is that we are. You don't often have commonality or the same mindset as the people who you're around just by happenstance. And what you need from a coaching program or an accelerator is the ability to break away from that. Not saying that you leave behind your old circle, but what you actually do is expand you expand your mind, you expand your opportunities, you expand just your ability to learn. I am a very firm believer that as soon as you learn something, you can do it. As soon as you hear it, you have the capability to do it. It's like something in your brain is unlocked as soon as you hear it. But if you're not in the right circles, if you're not able to truly learn something, then you won't get there. I know that was a big spill, but does anyone else have anything to add or questions for Isabella while we're here?
I'll just add that story is so inspiring, and the ability, as Kira mentioned, to learn in real time and quickly and look at opportunities and then make choices around what direction you go in. And then to add to it, literally, it's community, right? So related to the 5 people, it's a community of like-minded thinkers where you don't always have to explain yourself, because those like-minded thinkers know that you think the same way they think. They think differently. You're looking out ahead. What's on the radar. Where are we at risk? That kind of thing. So stories super inspiring. I will forever look at pesto in a different way, in a different light.
It's funny because years went by, I didn't know about licensing or anything, and I did see Greek yogurt based pesto sauce at the grocery store, and I was like, oh, isn't that something? But to add about the community also, like, I think this is super super important, because especially when you're like starting off something, um as entrepreneurs, we all think differently. And when you're what I've experienced, I think I just had like a lot of determination also. um but what I've experienced is also, typical story when you're starting something or when you're trying to do something. Immediately the people that question it are family members, friends, because they care, right? They care, but they just can't think bigger. um and it's even happened to me, right? When I was doing the whole private chef thing and it started working out, and I ended up getting like featured on like Food and Wine a couple of times. When I went back home, all of my friends were like, you've proved me wrong, respect. And I was like, I didn't even know you thought negatively about me. But you get to a point where you do things enough that your actions prove people's ideology of what they had about you wrong. And the only way that you can do that is by surrounding yourself with people that have bigger thoughts. Otherwise, what's that quote, like, misery loves company? People will keep you, they'll drag you down with them because they just don't see more for themselves.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Yes. Yes. And you are actually not even fully explaining your whole story. If you guys don't realize, Isabella has 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. She has really pulled herself up over a very short period of time. This has been a year. How did you tell me?
So
How long
LinkedIn,
you been doing-
I saw an ad on Facebook, not on Facebook, on YouTube, that said, did you know one corporate client is equivalent to 50 B2C clients? And that just changed my life, because then I said, wait a minute, there's something in LinkedIn. And so I went all in on LinkedIn like around February, March of last year. And when I started doing that, it was almost like, it was almost like this thing of it was a big pivot, and I didn't know how to pivot. I didn't know what would be the best direction. But what I did see is that on my other business, I used to do a lot of music coaching. What I like social media coaching for musicians essentially, and what I realized is that with all the economic factors going on, the recession, the gas, the inflation, you name it, the first industry that got hit was the music industry, because all of a sudden this like expensive hobby that people have, all of a sudden it has to be cut out. Like they need a second, they need a third job just to survive. So immediately I was like, okay, well, I gotta pivot. I don't know how I'm gonna pivot. So I started just testing and testing, and I think that's also something worth mentioning, because when you're startups, right, like a lot of people just get married to the idea and then they just go and go and go, but you have to learn when to pivot. You have to understand that you can pivot, you're not going to be a failure, and you also have to know if the market changes, right? Like AI came into play. I know a lot about marketing. Now I talk about AI, and then next thing you know, my LinkedIn starts growing, and I start getting way more opportunities, and it's for the same thing. The offer is the same. It's all marketing related, but because I'm talking about it from an AI angle, all of a sudden it's this hot topic that people want to learn about. So learn how to pivot, learn how to like attach what you're doing to the narrative that's going on in the real world, and that's how you're going to always stay relevant. But you're not a failure if you pivot. It's you only fail if you quit, so just don't quit.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I love that so much. I was just actually not long ago saying to someone how I learn or how I think about pivoting. I grew up playing basketball. I don't look athletic, but I am. I grew up playing basketball, and I'm really tall and lanky, and I'd be going down the court upright, completely upright, just you know running upright, and my coach would yell at me from the bench, bend your knees. I would like very quickly bend my knees, because you have to be prepared to pivot all the time. And if I had continued, just from a basketball perspective, if you continue going down the court upright, you're not ready to do anything really. You're in this upright position, might as well just wave at the fans and never do anything. So that's my mentality now for pivoting. Whenever something comes at you, or even if you're just paying attention to the market, it may not be that you're in a bad situation, but you have to be prepared to take in information that'll inform your next move, even if it's a small one. Because markets change very fast, trends happen very fast. You caught on to a trend probably at its early stages, and that was phenomenal. But if you weren't paying attention, you would not have done that. So just I'm always doing market research, always thinking about what's next, even if I'm doing well. And so that when I am maybe not doing so well, like 2020, when all of us had that situation, your brain automatically knows, okay, it's time for a pivot. What do I need to do? This is the action. Let me go and do some market research. I love that so much. Paul and Kelly, you guys haven't gotten to say anything. Do you have anything to add?
I'm loving this conversation actually.
Isabella, your story is so inspirational. And, you know, when you talk about, I can't remember the exact quote, but being around the people as well, going back to that, it's as simple as what you give attention grows, you know, and it all goes back to the mindset of, you know, your perception of certain situations. Is it really reality, or is it what I think is reality, which then, you know, determines your next step as well. But just when we're talking about the pivot, it made me laugh, because it's like the last conversation we had, we were with startups a lot, obviously. So, you know, when you have your idea and you think, you know, you wake up at 3 a.m., you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to go out and build this. And, you know, I don't need anything else. I've just got such a brilliant idea. And then you come to people that actually have been there, made the mistakes, learned from the mistakes, and that's where the growth comes. And they give you kind of a little bit of feedback, you know, to pivot because of the market trends, and they're holding on to their idea like their pet toy sort of thing, and they're like, no, I'm not changing. So it is valid points. You know, you have to learn to adapt and innovate. I mean, that's the whole kind of point of innovation. But looking forward to hearing more of your story, Isabel. I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? Because I'm really good on the pivot, but I will say, and I know you're gonna review some prompts. I will say, bar none, Isabella's delivery of how she explains, expresses, and teaches people about what she does is bar none stellar. It just, talking to people like we're in the 3rd grade, helping people not be intimidated, walking it through step by step. Is that something you invested in, or did it come naturally to you to be able to deliver, I'll call it training, but to be able to deliver, you know, literally your methodology around AI?
I think I honestly think it's just like reiterations. It's really what it is, because the one post that went viral on LinkedIn, it got like over 1 million impressions, and I remember like I created that same post 3 different times prior. So there's 2 things, right? Consistency and reiteration is super important. Because I created that post, and then when I read it again like a few days later or like a week later, I was like, oh well, I missed a couple of steps. You know, I forgot to say like from point A to point B, and then I posted it again and nothing happened. And then I posted it like, you know, 3rd time. But here's the thing though, in between, I kept hearing feedback from like friends that were actually seeing it. And they're all LinkedIn friends, right? They're all like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. So I was like, if it's so awesome, why isn't it getting any traction? So I just started being a little bit more like analytical, like what can I do to improve it? And it was a couple of pass throughs, and then I realized, oh, okay, well, I really need to break it down step by step, because I think this happens to all of us, whatever world you're in, whatever industry you're in, because we're immersed in it, like our knowledge might be up here and the general public is like down here, because they're just not living what you're living daily. So you just have to come from here and down here, and then you can actually resonate. And part of what helped me also have that kind of like resonance, I think, is just doing like TikTok videos for like, you know, a couple of years, reels, Instagram reels and YouTube shorts, because you have to like get your information across in like 30 seconds. So it's like you really have to like train your brain to give an actionable bite-sized piece of advice that they can do in a short period of time. So you know, and then it's just listening to the feedback, you know. I wasn't like, that wasn't really like the intention or like the feedback that I was thinking I was going to receive, but that's the common feedback that I get, is like, that was so easy to understand, or that was so actionable. So that gives me like more insights of like, okay, I need to give more actionable content for people to actually, you know, resonate and find it useful.
That's amazing. I will say that what hits me is that you're hearing it's great, it's great, it's great, but then you still went back and looked at it and said, if it's great, why is it not doing a certain something? and you went back and added those extra steps, right? So it's just that self-awareness and being a little more critical of our own work, so that we're not looking for perfectionism, but you're like, what else could I add to make it just that much better? So I don't want that to be missed, because that's, sometimes we get caught up on the vanity side of it, and we're not really going back to look at things again and repurpose them. So yeah, kudos to you for that.
Thank you. And even about that too, like it was also determination, because at this point it had already been a year of pretty consistent on and off posting, especially during the holidays, a little on and off. But it was just like determination, because I remember the beginning of March, I remember like sitting in front of my computer and saying like, I know so much about marketing. I help so many people grow their accounts. I've helped so many people, get traction. I just have to do it for myself. Like I have to actually, be serious and determined. So the first like 3 weeks of March, it was just consistent, like constant content output, just putting out different forms of content, seeing what resonates. I talked to Nick and Morgan from B2B Power Hour, and they were like, they gave me this idea of like whatever idea I had to just beta test it with like 5 people or 10 people. So I started like doing a lot of like outreach, and all of a sudden it became, for anyone that's like trying to test their MVPs, all of a sudden it became this whole project of like, let me test my MVP with like the whole entire USA, to like, let me just talk to 5 people. Let me just talk to 10 people. See if it resonates, if it hits. If it doesn't resonate, what can I do to fix it? And that was so important. Like that was such a valuable lesson, because now I know if I ever want to test something, I can just go to a small pool of people and start there. And it's not this huge mountain that I have to like overcome.
Wow. Wow. I love this so much. You and I are gonna work together more. I love this.
Thank you.
I love this. I've been talking a lot though, so I don't want to make another comment. I'm gonna let you guys, either Kelly or Paul, did you guys have something you wanted to ask or add? No, you guys? No? Cheryl, did you have something else? No? Okay. Definitely you guys gave me an excuse to say something. Definitely that the validation point. Love that you quickly understood that first off, there are different points of validation. Not necessarily having to conquer the world in one swoop, but you can validate something that I try to tell people often is you can honestly validate one feature at a time. You don't have to validate your whole product. You can create one feature or even a smaller version of what a feature could be and validate that. And once you have that point of validation, build out just the one feature along with feedback. So maybe build it and ask again. And if you have that core group of people that can give you amazing feedback as you're building, you basically set yourself up for success. Most ideas fail because they don't go through that process. They just build it, or not necessarily fail. It takes them a very long time to succeed. And that very long time equates to loss of money, loss of time, and loss of opportunities because they didn't go through that process. I love that I love that. We'll just love it. So, okay. So what was this point of just, I've put my product out, I've validated it, I have, I've established my self on social media. I know that I'm good at marketing. I know that I'm also a great chef. I'm sure your food's amazing. But what was that point of, I think I am onto something, and you knew it, and you just started to kind of skyrocket?
I think it's like these little like intuitive nudges, right? Where I when I first started talking about AI, I realized, okay, TikTokers are having a lot of success talking about AI. YouTube is having a lot of success talking about AI, or YouTubers are. And I remember like spending like a whole afternoon just looking at like keywords on vidIQ and stuff, and I was like, there really is a lot of demand and very low competition. So, because I was determined to, this was like the month that I gave myself to grow my LinkedIn. I said, let me just bring it to LinkedIn. Let me see what happens. And I didn't really know the AI community in LinkedIn yet at that point. I was just like, let's just try it for 30 days. The worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. Move on to the next idea. But at least I tested it and I got it out there. And and that goes, along hand in hand with what you were just saying of listening to what people have to say, because immediately when I started seeing some traction come in and I started seeing people like reach out to me and talk to me, and I started running polls on LinkedIn, I started asking like, hey, if I were to do a course on this, what topic do you want to hear? And then, 300 people voted for like AI marketing prompts. So I'm like, all right, well, I should do a course on AI marketing prompts. There's 300 people that are interested in that. I started looking at like, keywords, social listening. I started going on LinkedIn and just typing different keywords to see what kind of content pops up on LinkedIn, like what people are saying, what they're talking about. I noticed that a lot of the AI people, they're very theoretical, right? And it's very hard to understand. It's very like they get into like the coding side of things, and it's just like like what is going on, then there's other people that they focus more on only graphics, like they spend so much time and energy because that's their thing, right? That's their niche. So I started realizing like, okay, this when I first started posting about AI, it was very generic, like AI for business, how can you use AI for business? And then I realized, well, if I match AI with all of my industry knowledge about marketing, that's what's going to make this unique, right? That's what's going to make, at least give me some direction on all of my content, that I'm not going to just post generic, here's 10 AI tools for customer service. That's so left field from what I do. But if I do like, 10 copywriting, like 10 AI copywriters or whatever the case is, it's immediately I feel so much better and more confident because I know I can talk about that in my sleep. So when you're creating whatever you're creating, also remember that you have to have some sort of level of expertise so you don't have like this imposter syndrome, or like a more real cause for having imposter syndrome. Uh, yeah, so I think that's part of it, right? It's like just figure out what your zone of genius is and just go in on that.
Is that your term? Did you coin that term? Your
Zone
zone
of
of genius? I
No, I
love
think
it.
isn't that where have I seen that? I don't know. Is that what you say a lot?
Me, I don't say that
Yeah.
often
You
either,
don't
but
say
I
that?
love that.
Cheryl says it.
No.
I probably got it from Cheryl then.
That's awesome. It just rolls off your tongue. Zone of genius. This is it.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
Cheryl has had a lot of influence in my journey as well. I'm really grateful for that.
I know that. Cheryl, I'm sure you have a comment. Go for it.
I'm
No.
just thoroughly enamored. So the story is just unfolding in a very human way, but literally we could take the story and match it up with the steps, right? With the actual steps of a startup and how you go from ideation to validation to concept to traction, et cetera. I think I messed that up, but it literally follows the methodology of it. It's just humanized because we're hearing, the struggles, the pivots, the thoughts, all the work that goes into it. So I'm just enamored by it because I can hear all the steps, and that's where the success comes from. It's like success leaves crumbs, right? And so does failure, unfortunately. But that's how we learn and grow. So yeah, I mean, I'm as enamored as Kara. Like, I could be listening to this like all day. Yeah, excellent
Yeah,
story.
loving it. And I love that the pivot, you can tell that this is how you operate all the time. You're just always watching, always listening, and always ready to pivot. And I think it's like something that is ingrained in you, and I love it. I love it. You can not only do it, embody it, but you can teach it to others. I love it. And I love the insight also. If you guys weren't paying attention to what she was saying about LinkedIn, how she looked up the keywords that people were talking about and recognized how she can have a competitive advantage. That is gold. That is gold. Yeah, I have Paul's an AI, he's an AI lover. I'm surprised he hasn't said anything just yet, but just that is so true. There is a very theoretical side of AI, and then there's the fun generative AI side that everyone seems to really love. But maybe don't necessarily, they understand how to use it, but maybe don't necessarily know the ins and outs of it. And there's just there's so much in the vertical. So being able to find your sweet spot is really awesome. Just and the steps you took to get there is really awesome. So I want you to go through your workshop. Just want to make sure no one else has anything to add. No?
Just concurring about the pivots and how to be unique, your own unique selling point as well, that you didn't want to be generic in your sharing of the knowledge in AI, because there's so many moving parts within AI as well, as you know yourself. There's a fun side and then the woo, what's that side? Obviously there's regulatory, I can never say that word. There's a few words, my team knows there's a few words that I have to kind of say very slowly, because otherwise it just comes out like blah, 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 blah. But I loved how you joined the dots. It's kind of like, okay, so I'm shit out at marketing, I'm shit out at my AI. Let's join these together and create something unique itself. So, and that's a really a point that startups should really focus on as well, because a lot of the time you think, I have this great idea and it is great, but what makes you different? Because if you're not different, don't change the wheel. You have to have some competition, as we know. If you have no competition, you have nothing really to kind of base it off as well. But find what works, look for why it's working, look for gaps. You seem to be very good at finding gaps as well, Isabella. It's something that I'm quite good at doing as well. But when you find those gaps, nourish them and nurture them and into your own, and as they say with the self-aware and the self-reflective, the two of them goes hand in hand, because sometimes you're aware of something, but you're not actually reflecting on it to see where the gaps are to bring it back again. So, it's kind of like experience, when looked at with reflective eyes, produces wisdom, and wisdom produces growth. So if you put them all sort of together, and you do that amazingly. Again, I'm sitting here just loving your story as well. But I'm really looking forward to your workshop here. So I think there's going to be lots of golden nuggets there. So I'll let you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna share my screen, but really quick before I do that, I just wanted to touch really quick on one more thing that I think might help you. It's a mindset thing, because when you're thinking about like your unique, what can you actually talk about and stuff like that. One thing that I realized that I did differently for this one, which I know it took me forever when I was growing my music social media business, it was getting out of this like mentality that I have to have all the answers. And it was like adopting the role of, hey, I'm here to learn. This is a new topic for all of us. I'm going to learn in public. I'm going to share my findings. There is no right, there is no wrong. We're just going to learn together. And immediately it dropped the stress from like, I have to be 100% right to like, let's just do this together, And it was giving myself permission. I think sometimes people just forget to do that. It's okay that, it's okay to learn. It's okay that we're exploring this together. And I just wanted to touch on that because I know there's a huge cloud of like, you have to be perfect and perfection doesn't resonate. It's not authentic.
Girl, you better
So-
preach. So good. So good. I'm going to be quiet and just let you talk.
Thank you. So I put together a couple of prompts to walk you through, and basically you can use this to as a foundation for your marketing strategy. So I'll share this with Kiara. I don't know if you guys are gonna send an email or whatever, but let's do the first prompt is gonna be basically what we're gonna do is first we're gonna get audience persona, then we're gonna get marketing funnel, and then we're gonna get content ideas. Right. So the very first prompt is first when you're doing prompt engineer, this is called prompt engineering. A lot of people think that you need code, but it's really just giving ChatGPT some sort of example. Really quick, pulling it one step back. If you've never used ChatGPT, it's free to use. Just go to chat.openai.com and you'll create an account. It's free. There's really no reason for you to not be using this and playing around with it. The prompt usually starts as like giving it a role, right? Like act as a blank, act as, whatever it is you want it to do, a copywriter, a social media strategist, your personal assistant, whatever role you want to give it. And then you can say, we're going to create, this is where the task comes in. You want to give it like an overview of what we're going to do. And then you're going to get specific on the actual instructions. And then if you want to add any like additional context or formatting or anything like that. So for example, if anyone would like to volunteer, we'll go through a 30-day, we'll just create a social media marketing strategy.
Pick me.
All right.
I volunteer.
All right. So for starters, we can do all the platforms or we can just focus in on one. Do you have preference on platform?
Let's go with LinkedIn.
All right, cool. So let's put LinkedIn. So it says act as a social media strategist. We're going to create a 30-day social media marketing strategy for LinkedIn. First, we will create an audience persona, including pain points, desires, buying behaviors, social media platforms they spend the most time on, and the type of content they find most helpful and useful. Don't hallucinate. The reason why you say don't hallucinate is because AI hallucinations, that's a terminology. AI hallucinations is when the AI just, goes into like fictional la la land and it starts creating stuff that's not factual. So we want to keep it factual. And then here is your target audience. So my target audience is, what would you say?
So this is for startups. So I want them to be able to gain knowledge from this. So we're going to use my SaaS startup, which I have, as an example. So target audience is manufacturing managers.
Manufacturing, what was that?
Managers.
Manufacturing managers. And what's your SaaS startup about?
It is a lean collaboration tool. Lean, you guys, if I said that too fast. So it's a SaaS lean collaboration tool.
Like that, lean, Lean?
Yep.
Collaboration tool.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have what's the outcome?
So it helps empower employees to take action toward goals.
To take actions?
To take action toward goals.
Sorry, what's the last
Toward goals. To take action toward goals.
Toward goal?
Toward.
Toward.
TOWARD. He is in Tom.
Sorry, my brain is malfunctioning. TOW. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want SaaS in there, Isabella?
Yeah,
Like,
somewhere in here.
yeah, lean collaboration SaaS tool.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Right. So it's gonna create the persona, right? So it's giving us demographics, but a lot of people, if they're not really like marketing savvy, they'll kind of get stuck in demographics. Um, when it comes down to, it even gives you like a little background excerpt. When it comes down to marketing, one of the first things I ever learned was that people will make buying decisions based off of emotions and then rationalize it with logic. So that's why we target pain points, right? Emotional points. These are like emotional triggers that this is what's keeping them up at night. This is what's like constantly twirling around in their head of like, how can I fix this problem? So when you market to the pain point, now it's like you kind of like a little stab of like, ooh, how'd you know I needed that? Like, like you must be like really reading my mind because I actually need help with that. So that's why you want to target pain points. So if you just like, take a look at this, does this sound pretty what's the word? Pretty accurate? Like the pain points, inefficient processes, they mark struggles with identifying, eliminating bottlenecks in the manufacturing process. Does that sound
Yes.
somewhat
Yes.
accurate? What about
Very
lack
good.
of collaboration?
Mm-hmm.
Mark finds it challenging to foster effective collaboration among team members, resulting in miscommunications. That's like a huge problem. Um, and then employee engagement. So another problem is that Mark wants to empower his employees to take ownership of their work and contribute innovative ideas to improve operations, but faces difficulties in engaging and motivating them. Does that sound
Yes.
yeah?
Mhm.
Accurate? Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Now the desires is directly flipped. This is like the pain points but the positives, right? They want operational efficiency, they want collaboration, they want teamwork, they want employee empowerment. So it's the direct opposite. Now,
Mhm.
if you already know this from all the work that you've done trying to understand your offer, your product and all of that, it's still good to start here with ChatGPT because even though you have this insider knowledge, you want to make sure that ChatGPT knows what you know. So right now we're just kind of like leveling, making sure we're on the same page. So I personally I start all of my marketing prompts with the audience persona just because I want to make sure that we're both on the same page talking about the same person. So
Mhm.
buying behaviors, this is good because this is going to give you ideas into what content you should have or should be creating. So for example, this Mark person tends to be research oriented. So what does that mean? That you should probably have some sort of materials available for him to research when he's studying your company. Value driven. So, this person seems to value solutions that offer a clear value proposition. So what does that mean? Like, it says here actually including cost savings, improved efficiency, and increased productivity. Like those are keywords that you can already start thinking about using. Trustworthy recommendations. So, even though this might sound like generic, like, yeah, you need social proof, everybody needs social proof, but it gives you one more layer of that. It's not just any social proof. Trusted industry professionals is what Marx wants to see, right? So now okay, well, if this is my product, I gotta go find trusted industry professionals and figure out how I can, work with them or do something of value to them that they'll want to leave me a good review, right? So it gets a little bit more it's a little bit more personalized to who it is that you're targeting. Now if you want to do something even more specific, you can go on your ideal client's website and just copy and paste the entire website into ChatGPT and say analyze who this person is and create an audience persona. You could even ask it to like, you know recognize if there's any patterns or mistakes or anything that could be improved on the website, so now you have a little bit of an angle. um but since we're just using this as an example of creating the persona, this is a good starting point. Now the social media platforms, so this is essentially LinkedIn. We're focusing mainly on LinkedIn. So Mark spends a significant amount of time on LinkedIn as it's a professional networking platform that allows him to stay updated on industry trends, connect with industry experts, and discover relevant content. So you should probably start thinking about adding industry trends in your marketing strategy. You should be connecting with industry experts and also discovering relevant. This is where you're going to be creating relevant content. So again, just little nuggets here that you have to just like really read and see, okay, how can I introduce this in my marketing? Um They also spend a lot of time in the industry forums, so that's something that it's out of LinkedIn, but it didn't say TikTok, it didn't say LinkedIn, it said industry forums. So go on Google and put the keyword of the industry that you're in and forums, and there's always a lot of different forums or Reddits or whatever it is. Preferred content. Now this is a good one because it's telling you here that it prefers thought leadership articles, so actually, written content. Mark prefers to see case studies and success stories, again, more social proof, and how-to guides and tutorials. So Mark is not going to be interested in a TikTok video, right? Like, it's telling you that this persona wants to see how-to guides, tutorials, leadership articles, thought leadership articles, stuff like that. Does that sound pretty accurate so far?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. So then the next prompt, I'm going to ask it because I discovered that just because there is like a generalized marketing funnel, sometimes based on the persona, it has, different interactions or different suggestions. So for example, here it's creating the awareness stage, the interest stage, consideration, conversion, retention, which is, pretty much what it is for, in marketing. If you do have a particular framework that you want to use, you could actually put that in here. But just to kind of start getting an idea, so if we are in awareness stage, what kind of content should we be posting? And here it says, like, create an engaging LinkedIn company page highlight, and highlighting your expertise in lean manufacturing collaboration tools. And then this one, it says, publish informative and valuable posts about the benefits of lean manufacturing, employee empowerment, collaboration in the manufacturing industry. This one says, share relevant news, stats, trends related to operational efficiency and employee engagement. So even though it's, yes, marketing the stages are like the same, for your avatar, it's going to be different what awareness means to them. Another awareness is engage with industry influencers, thought leaders, and professionals by commenting on their posts. This is getting into like modern day social selling, commenting on their posts, sharing insights, and building relationships. And then lastly, if you do want to run ads, run a targeted LinkedIn ad campaign focusing on manufacturing managers, highlighting pain points that you address and the benefits of your SaaS tool. So it does the same for interest stage. Now interest stage is getting into more compelling content, webinars, live Q&As, video testimonials, more ads, LinkedIn sponsor content. And then interest is also starting to ask, more questions, stuff like that. Consideration stage, right? So this is now offering a free trial or a demo. They're now considering your product, right? Creating comparison guides or case studies that demonstrate the advantages of your SaaS tool. You can also share more success stories. Now this one, it's asking for manufacturing managers who have achieved significant improvements in efficiency and employee empowerment through your SaaS tool. Under consideration stage, it's going to be now more personalization, right? More human touch going into it, because now they're actually considering working with you. And then conversion, you have the typical, the landing page, any discounts or offers or anything like that. Any lead capture forms, more testimonials, but now the testimonials and conversion, it's going to be highlighting the ROI and business impact. And again, if you're running ads, it gives you an ad idea. And then retention stage is basically, like making sure that they actually stick around, because with SaaS especially, right, people just cancel and leave. So it's even giving you, how can you actually keep them around? How can you retain them? So, it goes through like the customer service, the product updates, features, reviews, feedback, nurture those relationships and stuff like that. Now, what we want to do is, now that we have this general understanding, you want to check it, make sure that it makes sense. If it's not making sense, you can prompt it and say like, hey, retention stage is off. Point 3 doesn't make sense. Right, brainstorm another one, and it's going to correct itself, and it's going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I got it wrong. It's going to correct itself. So what I want to do, just to showcase really quick how you can turn this into actual content, I'm I'm going to say, starting with the awareness stage, let's create a 7-day content strategy. And I just go ahead and copy and paste everything here. And now it's going to say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, all of the days. And what I want to do after that is I want to do create the post for day 1. And then I'm going to copy and paste day 1. Very cool. And now I just created the post for day 1. Now, the biggest mistake that I see people make is they copy and paste this and call it a day. You can train ChatGPT to write more like you and learn how you write and stuff like that. But just for the purpose of this example, you want to take this and just think of it as if a VA wrote it, right? They did 80% of the job for you. Now it's your turn to go in, humanize it, edit it, add your human experiences, your personal touch, your voice, all of that. I can get a little bit more specific in like the prompt saying like, write this, create the post for day 1, sound like Kevin Hart, like I can get a little creative with, make it conversational, or add industry stats, don't hallucinate. Like I can give it more direction, but just to show an example, right, of like what it would look like. And then if you want to turn it into a carousel, which is the best way to grow on LinkedIn right now, turn this specific post into a 15-page LinkedIn carousel. It can be less. So now it's giving you this data. It's a little bit of a step-by-step process. I have found that when I do a mega prompt for how I want the final output, it'll give me like very one-liner generic information. So what I have found is if I just ask it to give me like this description type of stuff, then I'll just say something like, for example, fill out the content for page 2. And then it'll just be one by one, but you'll get way better, information. And then from here, you just take what you need, take what you don't need. And then lastly, you turn it into a table format. Right, once you go 1 through 15 or 1 through 10, however many pages you end up using, you turn it into a carousel format, or a table format. And this is why I like to do this part first, because if you notice, when I ask the specific carousel to go into the table format, it's only grabbing the descriptions, right? So that's why I like to do this part in its own, so I can just make sure that it copies this top part into the table and not the other original stuff. And this one's too long, so I probably would have said fill out the content for page 2, keep it under like 30 words, and then it would have done that. So once I have this, I copy this into Google Sheets, and this is now how I can bulk create on Canva. So have you guys ever tried bulk creation on Canva?
Bulk creation?
Yeah, bulk create.
I haven't.
So
No.
basically, I'll just go through this quick example, because I get this question all the time, so I just want to make sure that I showcase the step-by-steps. So what I do is I just go here and I copy all of this table. Now pretend that this is all the information, finished, finalized, polished, ready to go. What you do is you start okay, well, that's loading. Let me copy this. So you can, if you're on a Mac, Command C. If you're on a Windows, I think it's just Control C, or you can just right click and copy it. And then once you have your spreadsheet open, you just paste it, and you're gonna have everything already pretty much, segmented for you. So what you want to do here is you want to make sure that you're actually coming into these headlines and fixing all of them, making it sound like this is where you get to edit that. And this is where you get to edit your captions, and just make sure that you add a little bit more information, or you go back to ChatGPT and you say like, hey, actually, I want more information on this line, for example. You copy that into ChatGPT, it gives you some more copy, and you just, you fix it. From there, I'll just put example. From there, I go to like file, download as a CSV. And then what I'll do is I'll go on Canva, and in Canva, you can actually type in LinkedIn carousel. And when you type in LinkedIn carousel or Instagram carousel or YouTube thumbnails, whatever, whatever you're doing, you pick one that you like, that you resonate with. For example, let's go with this one right here. So once you have this open, and this is the part where you click the grid here at the bottom, and you only want to keep one page, because if you keep all 20 pages, it's going to create a whole mess. So you just want to keep one page. Let's just say we keep this middle page here. You can always add the title cards after. We just keep this middle page here, and we go ahead and we brand it. Let's just put whatever colors. This will rewrite it to caption. This will rewrite it to headline. Here you can rewrite it to your website, right? Like I'll put www, xyz.com. Here you can barely see it, but here basically it's your handles. If you have any handles, this is where you would go ahead and edit all of this. And the reason is because on the left hand side, you go to bulk create, somewhere in here. Let's see. Bulk create. Oh, here it is. It's right under background.
No freaking way. This has been on Canva for how long?
So if you go to bulk create and you go to upload a CSV and you upload the thing that we just created, you click on headline and you right click and you put connect data headline. You'll know that it connected because the brackets appeared. And then you do the same with the caption, and you know that connected because the brackets appear. So now you hit continue. You don't have to connect the slide numbers or the images. Once you hit continue, we're going to generate 11 slides. It's going to create a copy of this. This becomes your master template. It's going to create, using that template, it's going to bulk create your carousel. So all you have to do now,
Canva.
all you have to do now is just format it, right? You have your brand colors already in. All you have to do is just fix the text size, fix the fonts, and it's all there. And then you can also bulk create the images. I haven't personally done it. I just like to go and do that manually with elements here. But that's also why we asked for images, because it'll give you image examples of what you should be adding. So, there's just some people, they are, I guess, are just not as creative, and that's totally fine. ChatGPT will give you those examples. So if that's all we have to do, and now all we have to do is, fix this around and maybe move the image around a little bit for it to make sense, then this would have, prior to this would have taken, at least a couple of hours to put this together. And then, yeah, it's just a matter of fixing around the elements, and you start, but this is why it's important to actually have the finalized copy on this Google Sheet, so that you don't have to go here one by one and, have to fix each slide copy. You can, but yeah.
You've probably gained about another 5,000 people that are your best friend now for saving them so much time. I mean, this has been amazing, like really good. I can't wait to do it myself when I get off.
Yeah, and oops, I just went back. So let me go back into the document. And remember how we deleted like the whole template? So to bring it back into here, because we still don't have really a title card, it's just like the middle cards that we have in here. So what you can do is you can go back to templates, and it's at the top, it's saying, LinkedIn carousel templates. So you can go through here and find one that you like. Oh, these are styles. LinkedIn carousel. And then this is the one that we used. So this is what would go here. and then you just grab this data in here, you put it here, you erase this one, and now you have your title page and everything else that you needed.
Yeah, but where are you? This is your spokesperson. Because clearly you're not advertising well enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've that would be awesome. I tag Canva every chance I get.
Good. Good.
I'm like, hey, just making sure that you see me.
They are missing out. Wow.
Yeah,
There's
so
a whole lot of
that
power in this.
essentially, yeah, and you do that, now that you have the thread, you go back in here and just because we're I know we're kind of running out of time, so that's why I didn't go in and fix all of this. But if you were to fix the prompts and tweak them a little bit to give you what it wants or what you're looking for, and also just keep in mind, like, these prompts, I have used them multiple times over and over and over again, and sometimes it's just because of all the updates and all the things that are happening. Sometimes it'll just give you a completely different answer, right? Like for this one, it disrespected the 15 thing and it went 10 to 15. It just got lazy, and it's like, all right, well, I've never seen that happen before. So you just go ahead and say like, hey, what happened at 10 through 15? I want those slides. And and because you have this strategy up here, you just keep scrolling up and going back to the next stage, right? Day 8 through 14 or day 2, 3, 4. This is why I love starting with audience persona. And I have used this, and I have threads where I have literally done anywhere from starting with like the content all the way through landing pages, through workshops, like workshop slides, all the way through email drip campaigns in the same thread for clients. Something that would have taken me 3 weeks, it took me like 2 days to do from end to end because I kept it all in the same thread. It knew who we were talking to. We never like, had to, every time I start a thread, I don't have to start from scratch.
I think
And this
that's
is a
I
thread, by
think
the way.
we have.
right.
I'm just saying, like, what's the thread? This is a thread, by the way. When it says new chat, this, I can access the LinkedIn manufacturing at any moment, and it can be 3 weeks from now, and I can say I need day 2 now, and it'll give me day 2.
It's kind of the same methodology as because I do that with my email conversations. There might be multiple different topics, but I always sort of say, right, this topic, stick to this email thread, so it's all there. So I think the most important part there, what you just said, is that the ChatGPT. Oh, I said it. I actually said it without tripping. ChatGPT. So that it remembers exactly what you're conversating about, even if you come back the next day. So to keep it on the same thread, I love that.
Yeah, I think
I was only
ChatGPT.
going.
I'm sorry.
No, I was only going to say I think we have time if you want to maybe tweak one prompt just for everyone to see.
Sure.
I think it may help. But go ahead with what you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say with ChatGPT 4 you can do I think you can do up to like 50 pages, I think it was, of memory, worth of memory. So for example, fill out the content for page 2. What's my page 2? This is it right here. So it's about your company, right? So I would do, for example, keep it less than 50 words, just because you don't want your carousels to be too wordy. People won't read it. And then the slide is about this. And then my company name is, what's your company name?
Circle View. Did
Circle
I say that clearly? Circle View.
View.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Circle View. Do you have your mission?
Mission,
Your
like
mission statement?
overall mission or like a sales mission?
Highlight your company's name, mission, and expertise. So probably mission statement, I would say.
Let's just keep that short. We want to help managers learn how to empower their employees so they can better utilize their resources during times like a recession, like now, like now.
Like current time now. Okay, and do you have any probably like a bio or like expertise or any social proof already? Just maybe like some stats like
95% of employees don't know or don't understand how to contribute to a goal. A real stat. I memorized it.
yeah. And all right. So I basically just gave it more internal data.
Mhm.
I'll put 70 words just to see. And what I did, just because I could have started from the bottom and kept prompting it, right? This is the bottom. I could have started here and went back and edit it, but ChatGPT remembers everything upwards. So if I would have done that, then it's gonna also remember this. So instead, if I go to the prompt where I could have made it better and I hit the pencil is gonna allow me to edit, and it's gonna give me a new prompt, a new output. And on the side next to my little like this ties into your Google, right? So this is like the F for fame hackers. This right here, this is your icon. Next to your icon, you'll have 1 out of 2 or like, you know, however many times you edit that. And when you toggle around the arrows, each prompt edit is a thread. So it's kind of like auto saving. So you never have to say, oh, what would have happened if I went, you know, A route or B route? You can just toggle through and it'll say, for example, now this is way better about your, you know, introduction, circle view. The mission is to empower. I mean, it's pretty similar to what we said. And then here it added a little bit more information. So now you have page 2. It's a little bit more precise in the content. And you can actually just probably delete all of this and just keep this right here and it'll be clear still. I would keep the number though, because that's a crazy number. That's a crazy stat. So that's how you start, like, you know, prompting it. And the more that you play around with it, the more data that you can feed it about yourself, the better responses you're going to start getting. You know, the more that it knows about you, the more that it knows about your company, the more that it knows about the people that you help. Even as simple as grabbing all of your testimonials and copy and pasting them into there, it'll help it analyze patterns and see like what people find the most valuable about working with you, or where you can improve, right? So anytime that you have access to data, like that's what I just started doing. You know, anytime I have access to any data, I just start putting it all into ChatGPT and seeing like, you know, what patterns or what can it come up with. There is the concern though of privacy, so I just wouldn't put anything about anything like, you know, that's gonna like passwords or social security numbers, or I don't do any like IP stuff out of respect for whoever's creating it. Like if I'm in a course, I'm not gonna upload their course into here, just because I just respect them to not make their, you know, their paid content readily available. But it's just something that, you know, that you can consider. You can actually start using a lot of the data that you have to help you make your life better through, you know, data analytics.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Girl.
like yesterday, random use case that I did. I ran an email campaign, and at the end I grabbed the stats and I put it into ChatGPT and I was like, hey, are these numbers good? And it told me like, oh, the open rate, yeah, that's, you know, that's slightly average, you know, like it just started giving me feedback and all of it. And I was like, oh, cool, another use case.
Interesting. I really want to see you do something in Kevin Hart's voice. That would be hilarious. See, I could just sit here all day and I say, Isabella, can you do this? Can you do that?
That would be now it has to think.
It's like, I'm not
Yo,
used to
what's up,
this. Let me
everyone? It's your boy Kevin Hart.
you'd
Yeah,
have to
you
do
can ask it
soccer.
like write a rap song That sounds like Cardi B about time management to managers.
Wow.
To all the managers out there, let's acknowledge. Yeah, you can there's so many use cases for this.
Oh, brilliant.
Stay on
this
top of things. Don't let time slip away. Cardi B's here to teach you how to play. Okay.
And valid point about putting up the private information, because the regulatory hasn't been done yet with generative AI. So anybody listening, any personal stuff, do not upload it, otherwise I steal it.
Definitely. If you can stay away from that, I have seen some things in the news where there were some leaks for some really large companies. But yeah, you guys don't add personal information, but the power in this is just it's just, you can't ignore it.
Delegate, baby. You can't do it all alone. We're gonna do a Startup ROI song. That's what we're gonna do next.
well, see, that's the cool thing, right? Because even sonic branding, like I come from the music industry, you can invest a lot of money to get sonic branding. Like jingles are not cheap at all. But with ChatGPT, you connect this with a couple of other tools and you have an AI generated song for free or for like less than $100. And it's you don't have to wait, you don't have to sit around on like temperamental artists and like, super high ego artists and stuff like that. Not all of them are like that. There's a lot of really awesome people, but it just, the amount of headaches that this can help you avoid, and not just with musicians, with regular regular tasks that you have to do, and you have to wait on a lot of different people to do it. This can help you be a lot faster.
Definitely. I mean, I come from the music background as well. I'm a songwriter and singer, and I've got like a book. I've got a book of songs that are finished, and some are actually recorded and uploaded in iTunes. But there's so many that there's like, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's like, okay, and I've done the 2 verses and maybe a bridge, and I'm like, I need the chorus first, like, because the chorus is the main vocal. So I'm just going to maybe put them into ChatGPT and say, can you finish this for me? This is my personality. This is my style. I like this melody, similar to this. I'm going to have so much fun with that this weekend.
It can. I've asked it to write the chord progression before, just out of curiosity. I was like, write the chord progression of what this would be, make it catchy and all that. And it does. And it's just like, whoa, what can't you do? But the reason why I don't think we got I don't think I had a chance to explain ChatGPT to anyone that has never used it. ChatGPT is basically, it's a language model, so it's a conversational chatbot that we get to have conversations with, and we actually get to instruct it to do things. And the way that it operates, it predicts text based on everything it has self-taught itself. So it's not here like thinking, oh, I'm going to create all of this from scratch. It's like, okay, well, it has access to Cardi B's songs. It has access to how songs should go, and it has access to content related to management managers. So it's going to predict it in a way that it actually makes sense to someone reading. So I think that's the easiest explanation. I know a lot of people get more into the technicalities, but it's just a conversational tool that you can use.
That explanation was perfect.
Thank you.
It was perfect. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. I know there's still maybe some people hanging out on the video. Guys, make sure that you have completed that registration form, or I hope that you did, because we'll send you some things following this call. This has been awesome. Isabella, you are phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Does anyone else have anything to add before we wrap up?
Just thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I'm just saying the same. It was amazing. Thank you so much, Isabella. you've dropped many, many nuggets, and I mean, I've been here throughout it, obviously, but I'm going to go back and watch over it as well because, you know, always be learning.
Always be learning.
Definitely. Isabella, I think I've already linked where people can follow you, but is there any other way that you'd like to tell people how to get in touch with you before it?
Sure, yeah, my main platform right now is LinkedIn. I did just start a YouTube channel. It's called MarketingPros.ai. But really where my main focus is right now, it is LinkedIn. If you want to connect and say hello. And if you want, you know, any of these prompts or anything, I'll make sure to send them over so you can share it. And yeah, thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Thank you. This has been amazing. Guys, I will see everyone. We'll see everyone. Thanks a bunch for joining us on LinkedIn, and you'll hear from us again soon. Isabella, thanks, girl.
Yeah.
Okay, chat soon. Bye-bye.